Okay, hi. This week what we're going to talk about is primary dyslexia, and for the fun of it, and because I was asked actually by two people, it was interesting, it came in the comment feeds this week, if I would actually just read the blog so they could enjoy it this way, and I said, you know what, I can do that. So, primary dyslexia. When being dyslexic is the number one neurodiversity identified in you. For many people, the word dyslexia brings to mind a child struggling to read or someone mixing up letters like B and D. I wish this is all this was. But dyslexia is much more than that and far more common than most people realize. Primary dyslexia in particular is a type of neurodiversity that shows up early in life and affects how a person processes language, especially when it comes to reading, spelling, and writing. It is not about intelligence or effort. No, in fact, many individuals with dyslexia are exceptionally bright, creative, and driven. They just learn in a different way. Whether you're learning about dyslexia for the first time or trying to better understand your own experience or that of a loved one, this article that I'm reading from can help shed light on what primary dyslexia really is, how it impacts people across a lifetime, and why recognizing it early matters. What is dyslexia? Dyslexia is a specific learning ability that is neurobiological in origin. It primarily affects the skills involved in accurate and fluent word reading and spelling. It is not a reflection of intelligence or effort, but is instead a difference in how the brain processes written and spoken language. Primary dyslexia, in particular, refers to a developmental and lifelong form of dyslexia rooted in genetic or hereditary factors. It is distinct from secondary dyslexia caused by developmental or neurological damage and trauma-based dyslexia, which results from brain injury. Story number one, the diagnosis that came too late. Years ago, a client came to me after finally being diagnosed with both dyslexia and ADHD in college. For years, their teachers and other adults had seen clear signs of neurodivergence, but rather than seeking testing or support, the parent would simply move the child to a new school every time a teacher raised concerns. The pattern delayed intervention and added years of unnecessary struggle. Despite this individual earned a master's degree. Can you imagine what it took to achieve that milestone without having the support that could have made the journey less punishing? It didn't have to be that hard, but when dyslexia goes unacknowledged, it often is that hard or worse. Key characteristics of primary dyslexia. Difficulty with phonetical processing, recognizing and manipulating sounds in words, problems with decoding and spelling, challenges with reading fluency and accuracy, and persistence into adulthood, though often with developmental compensatory strategies. Fast facts and strategies. 1 in 5 people in the U.S. are believed to have dyslexia. That comes from the Yale Center for Dyslexia and Creativity. Dyslexia makes up 80 to 90% of all learning disabilities. That is from the International Dyslexia Association. It often goes undiagnosed, especially in bright, verbal students who can mask their differences and difficulties through context and strong oral skills. Dyslexia runs in families and has a genetic component. Many adults with dyslexia are successful professionals who had to work harder than their peers just to keep up. Story number 2, my personal experience with primary dyslexia. I have primary dyslexia myself. It was the first neurodiversity identified in me. It was diagnosed when I was 5. As a child learning to read, it was the most noticeable and challenging part of how I engaged with the world. I remember the frustration, the effort, and the feeling that I was somehow broken because I could not make sense of words like everybody else in the room could. Today, as an adult, dyslexia is still with me, as you can tell as I'm reading this. I still can't spell worth a darn, especially words that cannot be sounded out. That hasn't stopped me from building a highly successful life, an amazing career, and helping so many people. But it has taught me something about the importance of support and awareness in making all the difference in the results people have in their life. Understanding dyslexia matters because when it's misunderstood, it's often missed. Many people with dyslexia go undiagnosed for years, especially if they've found ways to cope or compensate. They may be labeled as lazy, inattentive, or just not trying hard enough. In reality, they're working twice as hard just to keep up. Early support can change the entire trajectory of a person's confidence, education, and future. Yes, yes, yes. Even as adults, those with dyslexia may still carry the weight of early struggles or shame around reading and writing. By reading more about how dyslexia works and how common it is, we can begin to create more supportive conversations at home, in schools, and in the workplace, and in everyday life. Dyslexia isn't something to be fixed, it is something to be understood. If you want to learn more about options for dyslexia testing, I have a link in my blog. You can go to that also. Want to talk to me more about living with dyslexia or having dyslexia or how that affects your adult life? Awesome. Schedule a free coaching call with me and I can help you unpack that a bit more and guide you to some resources. I'm Joy Gina, International Neurodiversity Coach, reading you out loud today and thanking you for tuning in. Bye now.